Hi, in this video I'll take you through some of the modifications that I've done to my KTM 790. This will include modifying the airbox and fitting a Rapid Bike EVO module to control the fueling on the bike. Enjoy the video. Hi, so I'm intending to remove the stock airbox from my KTM 790, replace it with an aftermarket one which I bought off the internet. I'll remove the subframe off the bike, get the airbox. So I've removed the cross brace. I only need to remove one half of it. So I've removed that and I'll place these bolts somewhere where they won't get lost. What I've done now is I've removed all the wiring from the number plate holder and tail light, and I've removed the number plate holder bracket. So I'm really looking at just removing the side part of the subframe along here. As you can see, I've now removed the side of the subframe, and that wasn't particularly difficult, to be honest. I'll just do a bit of in-depth here how I actually got that off. So I had to remove 2 bolts from this cross member. I had to additionally remove 1 bolt from underneath the rear airbox. Then I had to remove a bolt from the seat lock, 2 mounting points here, and 1 small bolt holding this plastic shroud. I'm basically just removing a bracket off the back, and that pretty much was it. It was quite straightforward. The next part which I'm going to remove is this wiring harness. Now there's a cable tie here. If I follow it along here, it's got a tab here, 1 tab here. There's an air sensor in the airbox, and 2 cable ties, and then I'll just hold this wiring off to the side, and then I think it gets relocated differently on the new airbox. Okay, so I've removed the plug for the air sensor, and this part of the wiring harness is now free, so I can move that out the way. So at this point, I think it's just a case of me removing the airbox. I think I have to take that pipe and pull it through this way. Okay, so I've had to remove my fuel supply pipe to get this pipe, which was quite tight to come out of there, but just removing the velocity stacks or air intakes off the throttle bodies, which is the removal of this Jubilee clip here, which is fine. However, on this side, it's not so fine. There is not a lot of room to negotiate in here, and I think I will need a long screwdriver and come up at this angle from underneath. So I had a bit of... Okay, so the battery on the GoPro went flat, so we're on a different day now, so I thought I'd decide to I'm going to hold off. I'm going to need to remove this tab to get a bit better access into the throttle body. So I'll go ahead and do that. So I'll try this. I'll hold this light here. So the reason that I remove the tab is I need to get into a Jubilee clip on the throttle body. I don't know if you can actually see it. It's not very easy, even for me to see, but it is in there. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get access to it. So I've got a flexible screwdriver and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Oh, right, that went very smoothly. I didn't have any issues at all there. So hopefully now I'm going to be able to remove the airbox. As you can see, so far so good. Didn't have any issues at all there. That was quite easy actually. I did think it would be a bit more difficult than that, but now the airbox is removed. I'll reassemble the Rottweiler airbox, and I'm also going to be putting a Rapid Bike EVO module on it to control the fuel in. Okay, so what I've decided to do is remove the battery box. This is going to give me better access to parts of the wiring harness. Okay, so I've removed the battery box, and some of the wiring that I can see that I need to access to is the injectors. There's another one there. To be honest, they are pretty well hidden in there. And this is the wiring harness for the Rapid Bike EVO. Okay, so I'm now tied into the fuel injection system with a Rapid Bike EVO. So I've connected injectors 2 on the right hand side, and I have connected injectors 1 on the left hand side. And this is the throttle position cable, which I'm going to feed. I'm going to throttle position sensor, which I'm now feeding down here, and I should be able to access the module there. So what I'm now looking at is the crank sensors, these pins. Now I'm not too sure. The instruction says, I'm just wondering, are these crank sensors here? Right, I should take a look. I'm pretty sure that this is the crank sensor here. I've got a workshop manual. I'm going to go and check. Okay, so this isn't the crank sensor. I haven't taken it apart. This one in here, the blue connector, so that is a crank sensor. So that'll be the next connection I make. Okay, so that all went nice and easy. So I'll just leave that in there. It all seems to be going pretty well so far. I've often wondered about how easy it would be to change the spark plugs, and to be honest, I think if you were out in the field, I mean, when I was in Iceland, I was always concerned about river crossings, a bike being drowned and having to get spark plugs out. To be honest, I don't think that would be particularly easy. But if you had to do it, I suppose a bit of familiarisation is a good thing, isn't it? Turning back to the Rapid Bike EVO harness, what I'm now looking for is the O2 sensors. So I have O2 sensor 1 and O2 sensor 2. Right, let's see if we can find these guys. So I've connected the O2 sensor 1, similarly as I connected the injection, to the left hand side. Now all plugged in very well. So now I need to find the O2 injectors for sensor number 2. Okay, so I'm pretty sure Now, this is, I don't know if you can see, probably not, I'm pretty sure that's for this part of the wiring here. Maybe you can't see. I'm pretty sure that's the second O2 there. Okay, that wasn't easy to access, so I've removed the bracket, much easier here. I don't think I would have got that off, but this is definitely the O2 sensor. So I'm heading in the right direction. I'll reconnect now. Okay, once again, so far so good. These are all connected, so I'll replace this bracket. I've got a canister delete for this here. I wasn't really too sure about doing it. I've seen some feedback on the internet that there's some codes come up with canister delete, or there's an engine management light may come up. Is it worth taking it off? I don't know. I'll see. Aye, right, once again, so far so good. So that's all back. I'll tidy up some of this with cable ties. So I need to connect the throttle position sensor, and then the wiring harness has these connections, auxiliary in, and then connect to the Rapid Bike EVO, connect to the battery, negative terminal. I've got quick shifter on this bike, so I think I may need to, I don't know, I'll possibly get some advice on that. I've seen something about, I'm sure I've seen something about the quick shifter. I've got it enabled anyway, so obviously I clearly want that to work, but I don't think I'd have too much trouble. I'm going to use the top of the battery box, so everything is all going to be in this area anyway. I'll leave these tails out so I can get access to them, but overall I'm going to put the throttle position sensor in, connect the air box back up, and then connect the fuel supply to the bike. And I'm not wanting to reassemble it without trying to start it. I need to know if this is actually going to fire up, because could you imagine having to go back through all this again after a bike's assembled? So I've removed the throttle position sensor plug. I have to connect to, I think it's the yellow wire here. I'm going to tie in further back. I don't feel comfortable messing about with the wires at the plug in case I dislodge them. So I think I'll go further back, cut into here, wire it in, and then seal it up with insulation. So I've successfully connected into the wiring. I'm hoping this is robust enough. It feels okay. I'm going to insulate it up and then reconnect to the throttle position sensor. Okay, so after a bit of time searching for insulating tape, which was hidden in the great abyss of insulating tape in this garage, I've now sealed that up. So I hope that does the job. Anyway, I'm going to reconnect. Now the next step will be to just put the airbox on and stick the tank on ECU and try to start the bike up. I'm not keen on putting everything back together until I know it's going. Everything's all back together. All my tail lights working, indicators all good. My wiring's tidied up. My airbox is installed. So this is all good now. Everything on the rear is all good. I need to, well, obviously I still need to finalise getting all my panels and everything back on. So what my next step will be is to install air filter, and then I do know that it runs now. Last night it started, but I didn't let it run for long. So what I'll do, install the air filter, let it run, and then I'm going to take a tank back off, and I need to tidy up wires and address a few things on the front of the bike. But once I started installing the airbox, I thought it made sense to get a subframe back together and get it all back the way it should be. So I'm happy with that. As you can see, the subframe's all back together, everything's all bolted up nice and tight, everything's secure, airbox is installed, air filter is oiled, and Rapid Bike EVO module is in the rear passenger part of the subframe. I was going to try to install it underneath the battery, but it ain't going to fit there. So at the moment I'm just tidying up some wiring. I've got auxiliary headlights on the bike. Wiring loom that came with it was incredibly long, so I've cut it down, soldered it together, and I'm in the process of just tidying all this up actually. So I'm going to spend the afternoon going over that. So the airbox is carbon fibre. Now it was quite expensive. When I ordered the airbox, I was wanting the plastic one, which I think was, I can't remember exactly. It may have been half the price of the carbon fibre one, but the problem with that was it was out of stock and I'd have to wait until it came back in stock again. So, and I ordered all this from America, all the upgrades. I'm going to run over everything that I've done. I've done quite a lot of modifications to the bike, so I'll run over everything, why I did it, and is it worthwhile? We'll see. So I've lost my train of thought. Where was it? Right, carbon fibre airbox. Yes, so it was in stock and I ordered it, and I have to say it's beautiful looking, isn't it? It just looks lovely. So all the wiring tidied up, Rapid Bike EVO module, bike's running, so it's just a case now getting everything all back together and everything nice and tidy. So I'm going to run a lithium battery, the anti-gravity batteries. It's fitted with restart, so I should never ever have any issues like I did last year in Iceland, waking up in the morning to a flat battery, hopefully. So what I'm going to do this afternoon is I'll progress with the tidying up of all this wiring and make everything look like it's meant to be there, and fingers crossed I'll be out and about by the weekend. The modifications starting from the front. So I fitted SW Mototech auxiliary headlights. I've got a Raid Garage rally screen and a KTM Power Parts headlight protector. So, and then just the usual ancillaries, USBs. I've got a mounting bar, which I'm going to mount a navigation tower, not a navigation tower. I'm going to use my tablet for navigation, and I've got a holder for it, which is going to mount onto that bracket. I've got Creebies handguards, cheap Chinese controls. So then modifications that I have here on the headstock is a brace. So Rottweiler Performance in America. So most of the stuff that I'm going to list now is actually stuff that I took over from Rottweiler. So these modifications were really targeted at the trip I was going to make to Iceland on this bike. And here's a better view of the brace. So I don't know if you can see him behind. So just looking there on the headstock. So I've seen quite a few. References to that metal bracket in behind on the frame snapping, and basically it's just due to riding off-road, especially on hard packed gravel roads at speed where there's a lot of hard vibration, and the headlight wants to basically detach and snaps that pivot point off. So it has been an issue that I've seen. I certainly wanted to avoid that. So as you can see now, it's braced, so that won't happen. Or if it does, that's been a complete waste of time, but it won't happen. So now looking back again, I've tidied up all the wiring under the tank. I'm just going to start finishing off around here. I've gone for an anti-gravity battery with Restart. Again, I'm going to reference back to last year when this bike was in Iceland. There's a parasitic drain on the system somewhere. It's intermittent. It's done it since it was new. Bought the bike, had it here for 4 days. Went in the garage to restart, just to run it up. It's a new bike, excited to have it, and it won't start flat battery. Now that's happened on quite a few occasions, twice in Iceland, which was not the best thing to wake up till in the morning, trust me. So, anti-gravity battery, restart, battery goes flat, you push a button, and away you go. So, I'm not going to use the button. There's a dongle which attaches to the bike, 9-volt battery. So if the battery goes flat, no need to do anything. Just remove, plug in the dongle, wake the battery up, and everything's good to go. So further back, what do we have? We've got the Rottweiler Performance airbox filter. So reasoning behind this is it's a much better filtration system. Standard airbox paper filter, there wasn't a lot of good feedback on that setup, and I did notice actually a lot of people referencing that when they were driving off-road, particularly in dusty conditions with standard airbox, there was a lot of contamination. So this is a much superior air filtration system and obviously looks very nice, and it's designed to do its job, and the feedback is that it's a very good product, so hopefully that works. And it also looks very nice. There's a splashback carbon fiber airbox, so that's covered the battery, air filter, and I've also installed a Rapid Bike EVO module to control the fueling, and it's got good feedback too, so good there. Now here we go, we've removed the catalytic converter and put a link pipe on. So all these modifications are purely and simply to increase the torque that the engine produces at low revs, and again this is something that's referenced quite a lot. These bikes are notoriously fluffy, they stall. Very nervous at low revs. I certainly felt this to be the case when I was in Iceland, so I've opted for all these mods. Fingers crossed it improves the drivability of the bike at low revs, but we'll find out later.